Okay, Instagram is telling me all of these things while I'm joining. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Hi, it's been a while since I've done a live video and I feel so nervous. I feel like I'm a mum and I've forgotten how to talk about all these other things. But I'm just going to give myself permission to share something that really excites me about spirit and about healing, and something that I've noticed in my own life just recently very powerfully. So what I want to share is this way that I have a felt experience of spirit working and healing working, and something that my mentor also sort of told me in the first place. Jennifer Miller, she is the one who pointed it out, and then I've lived it, and I've lived the truth of it and felt the truth of it, and it's really guided me. And I feel like without knowing this piece, I could have been very, very stuck on my spiritual path. I could have felt like I knew certain rules, which actually blocked me from knowing the truest thing in that moment. So I really wanted to share it with you. Okay, so how do I explain this? How do I share what this is? So I feel like, to me, spirit is like this healing current that runs through our lives. It's this healing current that runs through our bodies and through life in general. I don't know how to explain it in a way that our minds understand. It's just my felt experience of spirit. And it also, the way that I feel spirit is very similar to the Tao concept, of like this healing flow of love and life and wisdom that moves through us and that guides us. And if we are really listening and in attunement with life, that's what we're like moving with. And I feel like this Tao or spirit or healing energy is guiding us to the places where we need healing. Like, it's not, I think sometimes we think that a spiritual journey is like following our bliss, and to me, definitely hasn't always felt that way. There's more bliss on the other side, but we need to be like taken into the nitty gritty icky parts to be able to come out with more flow and more love moving through us. So this Tao energy is like taking us into the nitty gritty bits, and I feel like they're often on the side. It's like a river. It's like they're which I'm just explaining this to you and seeing it in my mind as I go along. So it's like taking us to the sides, to the bits where we don't have flow yet, where we don't know how to let life move through and love move through, and it's like in the sides there. And so my feeling of the way that spirit keeps us moving with this energy and the way that it directs through our lives is that it will often go in one direction and ask one thing of us. 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, it doesn't matter. Certain amount of times it will go in one direction. And that is where our healing is like to, so say it takes us, for example, into a sticky situation, a sticky conversation. Like, let's get really practical about this. And for those, however many times, spirit is asking us to not shut down our truth and to express ourselves in the moment. And so it's asking us to, like, here's where we usually get stuck, and it's asking us to move this way and to create expansion. And then at some point, so it will feel, this moment, this healing opportunity will feel like you're facing death, in my experience. And also I haven't yet gotten out of that. Like, it still feels like that. So it feels like you're facing death. It's incredibly vulnerable. It's the opposite of what you feel like, what feels comfortable a lot of the time. It's like, it's really asking you to stretch to be able to listen to spirit and move where it's guiding you to. And the mind is very likely to say like, no, go this way. And spirit's asking you to go that way, right? So all of those things happen. And then finally you like see the clarity, you see what life is asking you to do. And you're like, yes, I need to speak my truth. Okay. And you create expansion and it's amazing. And you're like, oh my God, I spoke my truth and it created so much expansion. Then you come up against a sticky situation again. And you're like, oh, really, really vulnerable, and I spoke my truth, and oh my God, I created so much expansion. And then perhaps on the third time you get into this sticky situation, a sticky conversation, and you're like, I know what spirit's asking me to do. I just need to speak my truth and it will create expansion. And you speak your truth and it doesn't create healing, it doesn't create expansion. And actually, maybe you just vomit all over the other person, and maybe you needed to stay silent in that moment. And so here's the like key piece that I love about the perfection of spirit. Its perfection is that you can never decide a rule and then just keep running with it. There are no rules to truly moving with life and living a healing life and a fully alive life, except for listening to that flow and what it is asking of you in each moment. So being fully present in the body and attuned to the moment. There is no other rule. And actually, even that, I mean, sometimes maybe you need to just numb out. For example, I spent 2 or 3 years really regaining my capacity to feel, and then felt like spirit was asking me, and spoke through a therapist that I was working with, to learn how to numb out and to distract and not need to be on all of the time. So there you go. And then I had to learn how to feel again. So it's like feeling, numbing. Feeling needed me to go to either sides of the river so that I can find like the Buddhist, I think it is, middle path, which is usually the truth. It's like we're constantly being rubbed and purified on either side so that we have access to both, and then we can truly listen in the moment to what it's asking of us. And I feel like the perfection in this, the thing that I love the most about it, is that it stops us from becoming arrogant and thinking that we know better than life, because we can never figure it out. So the second that you are in a sticky situation or conversation and you're like, I know what to do. I almost feel like I can hear baby daddy in the next room being like, oh my God, she's taking her own medicine. Yes, please listen to this, because sometimes I can think that I know, just for the record. The second that we feel like we know, I feel like that's when spirit is asking us to actually do the opposite. It's so, you can never figure it out. It is a constant learning, and it keeps us in the student, open-minded, constantly allowing healing and purifying energy into our life, because there is no set rule. It's never just to speak your truth, and it's never to stay silent. It is, what is that moment asking you for? And it also requires that we be incredibly vulnerable, like in that moment. In the first couple of examples that I used of that, it feels like you're facing death, like it's so vulnerable. And that's how you know it's true. It's not a no in the body, but it is very scary. And it feels like this great big leap and into expansion on the other side. and it feels exciting on the other side, but it feels terrifying. That's from my experience anyway. And the second that I lose the incredible vulnerability of what that is, then to me the healing isn't in that place anymore. And the second that I feel like I don't have to be fully present and feel because I already know, then my mind took over and I'm not really in my body. And I feel like that is just, it is so incredibly perfect. It is always, life is always keeping us at this purifying, healing edge. And if we're done, then I don't think we would be here anymore. You know, I don't think we would still be in the body if we weren't here to like let life touch and move us. And so just wanted to share that because I feel like it's really served me to know this about spirit and about healing. And because I just love it so much. I love the perfection of it. Just one more really quick practical example of how this actually applies to life. I recently was feeling really challenged in my relationship, and I went to see one of my neighbors here. She lives just 2 doors down, and she has been married for 32 years, I think. And she was sharing some stuff that has served her. And I responded and I was like, yeah, I hear you. I know that my pattern is this thing, and so I need to try and go this way. And as I said it, I noticed my false certainty. Like I already knew. I knew. So I wasn't really listening in that moment. I knew with my mind. And I also noticed this like weakness in my energetic congruency as I said it. And that's the sort of thing that I look for in my clients. As they speak, I'm like, you're bullshitting yourself. Like it's so obvious to me. When it's other people, it's a little harder to tell for myself, because that same place can sometimes be my own anxiety. So I noticed the energetic congruency and the knowing and the feeling of like, no, this is my pattern, so I have to go this way. And I was like, babe, you've been doing that for a couple of years now, so are you sure? You know? And it just knowing this, knowing that spirit will always mix things up, really helped me to call myself out in that moment, and then to create a little opening of how can I be more present in this moment, and what is this moment asking of me. Another one is in my relationship, which is obviously like a huge purification and training ground. It's so funny because I will often, so I remember distinctly this time where I gave him feedback, and we created so much expansion and connection in him really taking me in and being like, fuck yeah, thank you so much for that. And then I did it again a couple of days later, and he created again so much expansion and connection. And then I did it like a day later again. Already I feel like tired, like poor guy. And he resisted, and I thought the problem was his resistance, and then I resisted, and we had like this real tussle for, I don't know, a few hours, and then I remember seeing and feeling, oh my God, I need to take him in right now. Oh shit. And it was such a humbling moment, because I really felt like, yeah, I'm like the teacher in this, you know, like, because I'd done it for 2 days, and obviously because I do teach this work, I can definitely have a place for that in my relationship. I have to watch that. So then I was like, fuck, oh my God, I completely missed this. You're so right. And it created so much healing and expansion, and it leveled us. And it was so perfect. Like I was like humbled and healed, and just so in awe yet again of how perfect spirit is, because our relationship needed that. It needed the 2 pieces of feedback I'd given, and then it needed me humbled and aware that I am still fucking flawed. So yeah, I just think there's so much perfection in it, and it can really serve to know that. I would love to hear from you how this all lands, what you feel in your body as you listen, as you receive, and also if it draws attention to something in your life where you are currently feeling like, no, I know how I'm breaking this pattern. I see this pattern in myself and I'm breaking it. And maybe you might be thinking that for too long, and maybe you actually need to do the opposite. Or maybe you're noticing a pattern and this is asking you to shift. Like maybe you notice that you're silent very often and now you need to shift into expressing and playing with life and with spirit. It's such a fucking love affair and dance, and sometimes I love it, most of the time I love it, sometimes I hate it. All right, I look forward to hearing in the comments what lands for you and what insights you receive from listening. Lots of love. Bye bye.